introduce Dr. Ramesh Babu. He is the Director of Medical Sciences, SRM Medical College in Trichy. He will be speaking to us about risk-proofing your hospital through quality accreditation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody starting a business, whether it's a small unit, I'll just 2 minutes. Whether it's a small petty shop or a big industry like 1,000 crores industry, why do they start that? What is the motive of starting such an organization? Please tell. Why do you want to start a business? Profit. That's the first thing. Profit is not a bad word. Okay, profitability is the most important thing if you want to start a business. Whether it's 10,000 rupees business or 10,000 crores business, it's profitability. What is the next thing that they want to do after profitability? Expand. Excellent. You want to grow. You don't want to be in the same state. If you start a bed with, hospital with 10 beds, you don't want to stay with the same 10 beds after 10 years. You want to make it 100 beds, 1,000 beds, like that. So profitability and growth are the two motives that drive an organization. Whether it's small or big, doesn't matter. So who brings this profitability and growth to the industries, to the organizations? Who brings that profitability and growth? The customers. What sort of, any customer? All customers walking in will bring that? Somebody, Mr. Rambab was already telling about that. A loyal customer. A loyal customer only will bring you a growth and a profitability. And how does some become a loyal customer? If he is a satisfied customer, then only he becomes loyal. Because if he is satisfied first time, second time, third time, he becomes loyal to you. Then who makes the customer satisfied? Not all employees. Your loyal employee. Please understand, not all employees make your customers happy. Your loyal employee makes your customer happy. So, a loyalist, how do you create a loyal employee? With a satisfied employee. We already previous speakers were telling about that. A satisfied employee becomes a loyal employee. And how do you make employee satisfied? With your systems, a proper system. And who brings the systems? Who brings the systems? Who makes the systems? The leader. Excellent. So the leader. So finally, if a leader is good, if there is a leader, true leader, he makes systems and that makes the employees satisfied. And that makes, they bring a lot of value, they become loyal and they become a lot of value to the customers. The customers become satisfied, they become loyal. Once they become loyal, you grow, you get growth, you get a profitability. That's the whole purpose of the matter. Today, Tatas are great because they are good, excellent leaders. Okay, somebody, Ambani, Dhirubhai, what's his name? Mukesh Ambani is great because he's a good leader. But Anil Ambani, look at that, he's suffering. This is what, the individual make a difference. Individual leaders make a difference. But unfortunately, most of the doctors think that they are good leaders. That is a very bad concept. Most of the doctors are not good leaders. Very few, handful of doctors are good leaders. That is why they are able to make a mark. Like, take for example, Dr. Pratap Reddy. He's an excellent leader. Dr. Setaraman of Meenakshi Mission. They're an excellent leader. But how many leaders make and sustain a hospital for a longer time? Today, you take about any hospital. Today morning, we were discussing that many of the hospitals have changed hands because they aren't excellent leaders. They aren't leaders at all. Not even, forget about excellent leaders. They are not leaders at all. That is why anybody who has got money can build a hospital. Anybody who has money can build a huge hospital with mosaic flooring, as Mr. Rambab was telling, mosaic flooring, this, that, everything can be done. But you can't make yourself a leader. That needs some traits, that needs some qualities, and that needs some exposure, that needs some practice. With all this, only you can become a leader. Then only your organization will sustain. Otherwise, it's a law. Now, starting with this, risk-proofing your hospital through quality accreditation. That's me. Okay. And now, any quality movement, we should start with a anecdote to Edward Deming, who is called the father of quality. He started the quality movement in the world. He was an American. He started a quality movement in America, and people were not listening to him. But the Japanese listened, because after World War II, they thought their economy was in shambles. So they brought him from US to Japan. And today, when we say about a Japanese product, whether it's Sony or Toyota or whatever it is, it's a quality product. And that's because of Edward Deming. So that's why he's called the father of quality. Okay. Okay, Deming proposed a very simple cycle called the Deming cycle. And that is called a PDCA cycle, shortly. Plan, do, check, and act. Whatever you do, whether you are in your personal life, whether your day-to-day habits, whether in your work or family or relationship, friends, whatever you do a plan, do, check, act cycle. You get up in the morning, you want to come to the conference, so you have to get up at 6 o'clock, get ready. That's planning. Do that. And then check whether you are doing it right or not and act accordingly. If you are not doing that right, then change that concept. PDCA cycle applies for everything, even for hospitals, PDCA cycle applies. Now, let's talk about the risk. That is simple terms, just to make you understand. That is risk. So you all know that definitely you are going to fall when you take a next step. So what do? You remove that. That's risk proofing. Now look at that. That is risk proofing. You all know who is that? Who is that? Raj Kapoor and Nargis, the famous song, the rain song. You have seen rain songs in most of the movies, but that is one of the most exemplary rain songs is that. Pyar hua, ikrar. So this is song. So, and look at that. He is holding an umbrella. He is risk proofing themselves from the rain. So that is risk proofing. Now, quality is degree of adherence to pre-established criteria or standards. So there are certain standards which is already written, and you have to follow that. That is quality. Okay. Now look at the accreditation. It is given in 4 different colors. Self-assessment. We are talking about self-assessment. You have to do a self-assessment and an external peer review process used by hospitals, HCOs, to accurately assess their level of performance in relation to established standards. They already established standards. NABH has got a standard. So in relation to that, you are doing something, and then finally, and implement ways to continuously improve the healthcare system. That is accreditation. Now risk proofing. You have to do in a hospital, you have to do risk proofing for these 4 important things: infrastructure, equipment, human resources, and systems. These are the 4 things that any organization will have that. And in a hospital also, you have to do the risk proofing for all these things. First thing is infrastructure. Now the space, how the space should be utilized. Suppose this is the hospital. How will you utilize that? Indian government has given a clear this thing. It is as per the Indian Public Health Standards. The government of India has given a clear guidelines, IPHS standards. You go through that, you will know. And then talking about smaller things in relation to the accreditation process. The first one is the reception. The most important vital area of the first point of contact, that's the reception. So you have to have a good reception with good receptionists. That is very important, because people should be smiling. That is the most important thing. They should be smart enough to find out what is the problem. So if you have a good, beautiful hospital, you have one of the worst receptionists there, your whole image will go down within that few seconds. That is called moments of truth. So that moments of truth have to be happier note. So your reception should be good. And your lobby, where you have the admitting office or discharge process office or whatever it is, that should be spacious enough to cover everything. Suppose if you have a small hospital, at least have some desks to individually identify those things. Then the nursing station. Many hospitals I have seen as an assessor and also other things, they have built beautiful hospitals, but there is no nursing station at all. And finally, what do? In one corner, they will put one table and chair and ask the nurse to sit there. That is not the way of doing things. You should plan a nursing station with proper facilities. Then there should be a proper storeroom. There should be a room where they should have a toilet at least, not in the nursing station, at least in some corner where the nurses can, because they are also employees, and you should take care of that nursing. There should be some writing space for the doctors to sit and write, and everything should be there. So a proper nursing station. And the general ward, definitely there should be, I've seen some of the hospitals where you can jump from one bed to another. Okay, that is such a space, not even about 2 or 3 inches. You can jump from one bed to another like that. So you should never be there. You should be minimum of 1 meter should be there. Minimum 1 to 2 meters is the ideal standard, and there should be enough space for this thing. Special rooms, definitely. Special rooms need some special mention because they are paying more. So you have to see to it that such facilities are existing there. And the floor, look at the floor, it need not be mosaic granite, but it should be neat and clean. And they should not have any curves, it should not have any straight lines. There should be curved areas at the end. And that is, the next is the intensive care units. The intensive care units, again, properly placed. They should be screened. Privacy should be there. NABH says very strictly about privacy, and privacy should be maintained for any procedures or whatever you do. Then the operation theaters. Definitely there are certain set standards for operation theaters. Previously we used to have all these window units and split units and all, but nowadays all these things are banned. It's not allowed inside the operation theaters. Okay. Then the emergency areas in the hospital should be proper in the beginning. It should be there in the right beginning, or it can be easily accessible by an ambulance. That is one of the most important things in an emergency area. And the triaging area should be there, and all of the related things should be there. And the pharmacy. Look at the pharmacy again. It should be in an area which is more easily seen and approached. And the drugs, everything should be kept properly. Now there are a lot of things like LASA and emergency medicines, high value, and high risk medicines and all. They should be kept separately, and also the license should be there. And there are a lot of hospitals which they say, this is our pharmacy, they have got a license. But after 4 or 5, maybe in the next floor, they have some other rooms where all the medicines are dumped. When we ask for pharmacy license, they said, no, sir. The same license we are using that. That can never happen. If you store medicines in a separate area, you should have a license. Okay. Then medical records. One of the most important or the least thought about departments is medical records. They never give an importance to medical records when you start building a hospital. Finally, you realize after 1 year, your medical records man will come and behind you and say, sir, no space, no space, no space. And you have to run, then they'll put it on the top floor, under the basement, or on the motamadi, everything they will do. This should never happen. You should plan for a medical record. If you don't have nowadays, now EMR is coming. If you have EMR, is fine. If you don't have an EMR, at least plan for a good space for a medical records room. And then in the toilets, grab bars is a must. It's a must for all the patients, because people above, the old people, aged people, definitely they need a grab bars either in the toilets or in the bathrooms like this. So definitely grab bars. Without grab bars, no accreditation is possible. So you have to have this grab bars. And all the taps, particularly wherever the clinical sites, if you are using the taps, they should have elbow taps. Okay, without touching that, you should have an elbow tap, and your signs of 5 steps of hand washing should be displayed prominently with all the material available. Now you should have a training room. It is very, very important nowadays. You have a earmarked area for a training room. What happens in most of the hospitals, because of lack of space, they don't even consider about this. So if you want to have a training, particularly if you want to have accreditation, nowadays it is going to become the norm. So have a small training where at least 20 to 30 people can sit and listen to some good lectures. So you should have all the basic facilities. What happens in some of the clinical rooms, the consulting rooms, the training rooms will be done. So this is not accepted. So you have to have a training room. And if possible, have a good auditorium also, if possible. In a bigger setup, you can have an auditorium where you can have conferences and other things. Now in the kitchen area, again, kitchen area is one of the most important areas which is least forgotten. And when the food is bad, there is that, when you go and see the kitchen, you will feel horrible about that. Because there is no proper maintenance, everywhere there will be something, leaking will be there, the smoke will all be on the sides, all insects, you can see that. cockroaches, everything. That should never be that. So take proper care of the kitchen. Now next comes the laundry also. You should at least, even if you have a small hospital, if you can possible, have a small laundry at least, so we can wash all the clothes on a day-to-day basis. Right. Next comes the equipment. Now equipment is the utilities equipment, particularly the electricity part of it. All the panels, these are all as per the norms. There is nothing going. You should have a proper lighting for the hospital. That is very important. Proper lighting for the hospital. If you have an air conditioning, it's fine. If you don't have an air conditioning, at least proper ventilation and fans, everything should be available. Then the UPS system. It's a must for all hospitals. You can't say, no, I don't have an UPS. No current should stop in a hospital, particularly in ICUs and OTs. It should be a continuous flow. So you should have an UPS system in the hospitals, and your water, portable water should be available 24/7. There is no question of, no, this water is not here and all. So you should have portable water right through the year. And an RO plant, of course. Definitely when you are using RO water for dialysis and other things, definitely you should have a good RO plant there. Medical gases, one of the least considered area. Because again, it will be in one corner with 2-3 cylinders. No, you should have a proper manifold room with all the basic safety features. That is very, very important as far as the medical gas is concerned. Definitely now we are talking about sewage treatment and all. It has already been discussed that we should have STPs and other things because it is part of the pollution control board. CSSD, naturally, CSSD definitely most of the hospitals, smaller hospitals only have an autoclave. But definitely it's nice to go for a good CSSD program. Then the biomedical equipments part of it, CT scan, and there are certain regulations for that. Suppose you are using an MRI, definitely all the fireproof material should be there. The fireproof material should be there with, which does not attract the magnetism. So all such things are very, very important as far as the MRI is concerned. Definitely cath lab procedures and other things, they're all set standards. There are set standards for all these things, and you have to follow that if you are building a bigger hospital. Laboratory and the instruments. A lot of hospitals, they buy substandard equipment, instruments, because they don't want to invest on all the instruments. And you buy substandard instrument, your results also will be substandard. So you have to be very, very careful as far as those things are concerned. Right? The third one is human resources, and this is the most important thing because hospitals are run by doctors. So you have to appoint good doctors, experienced doctors. Doesn't mean one who has a good practice, you bring him here and you say, I will pay you 10 lakhs every month, you run the show. It is not possible for smaller hospitals. So you should know where is your limit, and accordingly you bring it. Or you bring a younger doctor, promote him, and see to it that he grows along with your institution. That is how you should see that. The nursing, definitely, they are the least paid as far as the hospitals are concerned. You pay 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. You pay peanuts, you'll get only monkeys. So pay definitely a bit better salary so that they are helpful. The nurses, basic around 10,000 to 15,000 will be ideal in Tamil Nadu state. Of course, in Kerala, it's not less than 20,000. So you have to be very, very careful appointing good nurses, sincere nurses, who will be there for the whole time. Otherwise, 6 months they will leave. 6 months they will leave. This is what is happening in most. Then paramedical people have to be qualified, everything, trained. And most of the hospitals, you see, they appoint some ANMs as nurses. They say, so you see these nurses, they are working with me for 20 years. They are better than doctors, you will tell proudly. That is not, they should be qualified. They should be qualified. First thing is qualified. So support staff should be good, and your administrative staff. That is where most of the hospitals fail. Because they think it is not, they put their mamans, machans, everybody in the administration. So that is where most of the hospitals fail. Because they don't want to appoint professionals. If you appoint professionals, you have to pay more. So this is called cost of poor quality. There is something called cost of poor quality. The cost of poor quality is worse. Because how much you are spending on that, it is not going to yield you any results. So never appoint. If they are qualified, appoint them. If they are not qualified, even if it's Maman Machan, please don't appoint them. Okay, then finally the systems, your operation systems. We are talking about operational excellence now. So operational systems have to be proper, and then material flow has to be there continuously. You can't say, no, today there is no supply. You adjust. How can we adjust with the patient, life of a patient? So your material supply has to be there. Information technology is the latest in thing. So you have to invest on information technology. There's nothing, no, I don't have computer, I don't have this thing. Today, if you are not, you don't use information in IT properly, you are not at all fit to be in this world. Because today the small children, 3 years, 4 years old guys, they know better IT than all of us. So you have to be very, very careful because that is the thing. And healthcare information management. These are all medical records. It's called healthcare information management now. Medical records is gone. Today we are talking about HMI, all hospital, healthcare information management. Okay, then your quality. Finally, you have to invest in quality because quality doesn't come free. Quality is not free. But once you start investing, definitely it will become free. If you don't invest in quality now, tomorrow you will be in trouble. Okay, then marketing, definitely it has to be good. Financial, appoint a good people for finance management, everything. Then committees, please have committees. I've seen a lot of hospitals, they all have namesake committees. When accreditation comes, they'll put a list. The list was drawn day before, the previous night. They'll put all minutes, same handwritings. They'll show this minutes. No, never do that because committee is not for us, not for the assessors. It's for you. So do that. Licenses is already been talked about. Then documents. Document is very important. Policies and procedures are there. Everything should be patient-centric. That is what you have to understand. Whatever you do, it is not chairman-centric, it is not MD-centric, it is not CEO-centric. It is all patient-centric. If you think that patient is the one who is giving you salary, then you will understand that. Everything has to be patient-centric. And if you do that, definitely your systems will work excellently well. Any questions on this matter? Definitely. Otherwise, that's my address. If you have any doubts, you can call me anytime. Okay? Thank you.